At just 8 to 10 centimeters long and weighing roughly 35 grams, the naked mole rat is a tiny, hairless outlier. While a typical mouse lives only a few years, documented lifespans for this species exceed 37 years in captivity, surpassing even the African porcupine, which only reaches about 28. For almost every other mammal studied, the risk of dying rises exponentially as the animal ages, a principle known as the Gompertz Makeham law. But the naked mole rat's mortality risk is perfectly flat. It simply does not increase with the passing years. This defiance of aging is so pronounced that the journal Science named the naked mole rat its 2013 Vertebrate of the Year, specifically citing its extreme resistance to cancer. The mole rat's biology demonstrates that the biological limitations typically expected of a small rodent are not as fixed as they appear. These traits were forged in the drier tropical grasslands of East Africa, specifically under the earth of southern Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia. Here, the animals survive in pitch-black tunnel systems that can stretch 5 kilometers in cumulative length. It is an environment where oxygen levels drop as low as 2 to 9%, levels that would suffocate most other mammals in minutes. To manage this habitat, they rely on a social structure usually reserved for insects, Eusociality. First described in this species by zoologist Jennifer Jarvis in 1981, it is a life of cooperative breeding and total specialization. Colonies average about 80 individuals, but can exceed 300. Every animal is a non-reproductive worker, save for 1 to 3 breeding males and a single queen. In these tunnels, individual survival is secondary to the needs of the burrow, with the colony operating effectively as a single subterranean superorganism. Researchers began to understand the mechanics of their cancer resistance in 2013. A study published in Nature identified a specific molecule, high molecular mass hyaluronan, as the animal's primary defense against tumors. This molecule is used by many species to provide structure to tissues, but the polymer produced by the naked mole rat is over 5 times larger than the version found in humans or mice. This massive polymer triggers a process called early contact inhibition. When cells touch, the hyaluronan prevents them from piling up, which is how tumors typically grow. If researchers remove this polymer using an enzyme, the mole rat cells lose this protection and begin to proliferate freely. For years, researchers observed large colonies without detecting a single incidence of cancer. It wasn't until 2016 that the first malignant tumors were documented in captive animals, and those were kept at standard atmospheric oxygen, which is much higher than the levels in their natural burrows. This unique cellular architecture provides a highly effective defense, nearly eliminating the threat of cancer within the specific, low-oxygen conditions of their native environment. Survival in those burrows also requires an extraordinary tolerance for oxygen deprivation. These rodents can survive at 5% oxygen for at least 5 hours, and can withstand a total lack of oxygen for 18 minutes without any harm. During these periods of anoxia, their heart rate drops from 200 beats per minute down to 50, as the body's systems slow to a crawl. Most mammals die in these conditions because acid buildup shuts down the breakdown of glucose. The naked mole rat avoids this by switching to a metabolic pathway normally used by plants. It begins burning fructose, which bypasses the blockage and keeps its organs functioning in zero oxygen. This metabolic flexibility also extends to carbon dioxide. They can survive in an atmosphere containing 80% CO2, a concentration that would be lethal to almost any other vertebrate. By utilizing a metabolic process reserved for a handful of microbes in plants, the mole rat has moved past the threat of suffocation. Their nervous systems are equally unconventional. Because their sensory fibers lack the neurotransmitter substance P, they are completely immune to the pain typically caused by acid burns or capsaicin. They are also the only known mammalian thermoconformers. Rather than maintaining a steady internal temperature, they allow their bodies to track the heat of their surroundings until the air reaches 29 degrees Celsius. Even the queen's skeleton is specialized. Her vertebrae physically expand between births, lengthening her body to accommodate an average litter of 12 pups. From their inability to feel acid to their changing skeletons, these animals have systematically traded standard mammalian traits for burrow-specific utility. This is a 2-inch, hairless, near-blind rodent that spends its life in the dark.
Yet its fragile appearance masks a list of biological exceptions. It carries mechanisms to withstand cancer, aging, suffocation, and acid burns, all within a single body. The rules that define how a small rodent should live and die are well established, and yet this single animal has found a way.